Hello, we're back. So I'm gonna make a village Slavic girl dress. And this is the fabric I'm gonna use. This is a pastel colored yellow two-way stretch. And I've already cut everything out, so let me just show you what we're working with. These are my two back bodice pieces. I'm gonna do two front bodice pieces with a center front seam down the center so I can embroider and have a guide point to make it look more decorative. It's going to be long sleeved. So got my two arm pieces here and a circle skirt that I'm going to attach to the waistline of the bodice. I came up with this for my trims and details. Here's some eyelet, cotton trim. This is the trim that we decided on because it's got the Romanian flag colors, blue, yellow, red, and some thread I'm going to use to embroider detail. And I also found some of this, which is just some scraps of white cotton fabric, and if I have enough, I'm going to try to make a matching really cool apron. So yeah, we're going to make a dress. We're gonna take a break and I'm gonna show you stuff that I got the other day in Los Angeles at the downtown LA Fabric District. So I needed to stock up on some trims, but I had to get a big spool of white thread because I've been going through that a lot, and picked this up, and I love it because it says health, love, wisdom. That's so much better than live, laugh, love. This is cool. I think I'm gonna save the sticker. So got a big thing of white thread, been needing that, and a big old back trim. So when I go to the downtown LA Fabric District, I pretty much already know what I need before I go, and I usually park at my studio in downtown LA. I have a little studio space, so I'll park there and then walk down, and I usually get trims and basic things like pattern paper, whatever else, but I had to get a bunch of trims, so I'm going to show you what I came up with. So this one, that's pretty. So I want to make some more like traditional, folk dresses, so this really stuck out to me. It's red with green and it's shimmery. That's cool. And then I really like this one. It's very festive looking. It's red, blue, yellow. So I got a couple yards of that. Well, more than a couple of yards. I got more of this stuff. So I'm going to be using this on the dress we're making. So I figured, should buy some more? Yeah. And then I bought some of this because I thought it was like a really cute basic trim to use. I wasn't sure how it would pair up with that. I like that. So yeah, I bought this just as a basic simple trim. And this one is my favorite, and my partner picked it out, and I'm glad I got it. That is really cool. I'm not sure what I'll use it on. Definitely probably make it into a headband. But look at that detail. That's really pretty. So that's my little trim haul. I went to Trim Expo. They're located in downtown Los Angeles in the Fabric District, so check them out. Nicest staff that you can imagine. Nicest people. Please go check them out. Again, that's Trim Expo in downtown Los Angeles. All right, we're back. So I went ahead and sewed together all the pieces to the dress. Actually, I did this a while ago, like a few days ago, but I just got really busy and didn't have a chance to get back to it. But I got my darts, I've got my center front seam here, and sewed on the skirt. And guess what? I'm going to admit something right now. You see that? There was a flaw in the fabric, so I had to repair it. I had to patch it up. And the best I could do was like some cream colored thread. But I'm not concerned about that, to be honest. So here's why. I am going to take some trim and sew it along the center front seam using this trim. So I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to, whoops, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to sew it down, obviously, just to here, and I'm going to snip, tuck it in, and sew. And then I am going to mask this flaw in the fabric here by doing an embroidery stitch down the center of the skirt. I'm also going to do it along the sides of the skirt and also on the back. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to use to do those fancy embroidery stitches. So this is my sleeve to the dress, and I have my notches here to indicate the front and no notches to indicate the back of the sleeve. And I am going to do something really cool, and I'm going to sew the sleeve, but I'm going to also sew this trim all the way down to the wrist. All the way down, just a nice line to make the sleeve look that much more village chic. So I realized after wanting to put the trim on, I wanted to continue it down the whole dress, down to the hem of the skirt. So I got some tailoring chalk and traced a line to make sure where I laid it down was straight, but I couldn't even see the line that I drew, which does not help me. So I got some red tailoring chalk and dotted along my line so I could actually see it. See? That is so much better. Then I got my trim and pinned it along that straight line. It's really important when you're sewing trim to just pin it down because the fabric shifts around. You're going to sew it crooked, and that's going to look not cute. So just pin it down. You'll thank me later. So when you're sewing trim, you have to sew each side down. So just make sure you stay as close to the edge as you possibly can and use a color of thread that won't show up. And I had to do the same for my two sleeves. I made sure to pin down my trim and then sew those down. Hemmed the cuffs of my sleeves. And then I sewed everything together and added the sleeves to the bodice. Okay, we're back. I got this bias tape that I bought, and I'm gonna go ahead and use this for the neckline and also save the rest for the apron we're gonna make as well. But just to recap, we finished, I finished the sleeves, with the trim and all the way down the center front of the dress. So now I'm gonna play around with some embroidery stitches and maybe do some more decorative stitching, maybe on the skirt. I'm not really sure, we'll see. But next I'm just gonna use this stuff to do the neckline. I went ahead and did the back closure the lazy way, meaning I just did a hook with a button. And again, this is the embroidered neckline, but it looks kind of boring, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this sewing machine to do some embroidery stitching right here, just to make it more decorative. All right. So that cool embroidery stitch and put a cute little bow using this stuff. Okay, so I am gonna start on the headband. I cut out this piece of trim. I think this is the kind of trim for like upholstery. It's very thick. It's, oops, all cotton. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some of this trim and sew it onto this strip of embroidery lining like that. Hem in the sides, maybe put some ribbons. I got some ribbon here, and I've also got some of these fake roses, so I might add those on there too. I'm done with the headband for now. I went ahead and sewed the trim on, hemmed in the edges about an inch, and then added elastic so it actually fits around my big huge head. Actually, I have a small head, probably because my brain's small, but that's another issue. So yeah, that's the headband. I was gonna add ribbon and flowers, but I modeled it and it looked kind of weird, so I'm just gonna keep it simple. Okay, it's time to make the apron. So these are the materials I'm gonna use to make the apron. This upcycled curtain lining fabric. It's just white fabric. I tried my best to use recycled, repurposed fabrics as much as I could, and I found this at the fabric store, and it was a few bucks, so that worked out. excuse me. And I want to make more aprons, so I'm just going to make a pattern for it using some recycled gift wrap paper. And you know, if you can't go out and buy pattern paper, you know, gift wrap is a really great alternative because it's got grid marks on it sometimes. I don't know if you can see that. So I'll be using this gift wrap paper to make the pattern for this. Okay, so I've got my apron laid out and I want to show you what I'm gonna do. This is the top of the apron that's gonna go along my waistline, and I am going to sew a base stitch all along here so that I can gather all of this, and I need to shrink it down to 25 inches. So I want it to be 25 inches across. But before I do that, I'm actually going to iron this nice and flat because the bottom of the hem of my apron here, I pulled up exactly 6 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and sew that down here, but I need to make sure that this crease is nice and crisp. So we're going to iron this out. Okay, so this is my freshly ironed edge, and I'm just going to top stitch this down. I pinned it to keep it all in place. So I'm going to keep it real close. Alright, I sewed that down with just a top stitch, and now I need to cover up this raw edge here with some rickrack. I love rickrack. It's like everywhere, and it really matches what we're doing. So I'll go ahead and change my thread up and sew this all along our hem. Okay, so I've got the rickrack down. I've put this on a straight stitch. And I'm gonna go ahead and just sew very slowly so I don't get any red thread onto the white, if that makes any sense. So you really want to take your time doing this. So I'm gathering the top part of my apron. I just wanted to show you when you pull your top thread to gather the fabric, you can start from one end and the other end and then just kind of gradually meet yourself in the middle, and I just feel like doing that makes this go by a lot faster. Okay, so everything's gathered. I just kind of need to even everything out, and I need to make sure that this here is anywhere between 19 and 25 inches long, because that's how long I want it to go around my waist halfway. But I'm so glad that's over. I've got some binding tape here, so I'm going to go ahead and just fold this in half and iron it. And I'm going to use this to cover up my gathered edge.